following show contains adult content. It's not our intent to offend anyone, but we want to inform you that if you are a child under the age of 18 or get offended easily, this next show may not be for you. The content, opinions, and subject matter of these shows are solely the choice of your show hosts and their guests, and not those of the Entertainment Network or any affiliated stations. Any comments or inquiries should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for listening.
Hey everyone, and welcome to 50 Shades of Bullshit. I'm your host, Christine Lalonde, and this is the podcast where we uncover the truth about online dating. Now let's begin. Hey everyone, I'm Christine.
I'm Jada.
And this is 50 Shades of Bullshit. Woo-hoo. Hey Jada.
Hi, beautiful.
Oh my gosh, talk about getting unstuck. Well, today's episode, we are talking about getting unstuck, or let's get unstuck. Mm-hmm. Well, there's many ways in life that we can get stuck. And I think we'll just chit chat about a few things that's going on with our lives. So for me.
So how are you stuck? I was going to say, how are you stuck? What's happening?
Well, anybody who's been listening to the show and knows anything about my life, I'm an open book. I have been I'm a producer and director besides this podcast for docuseries, documentaries, unscripted series, films, you name it. So back in May, this guy from Clubhouse reached out to me and asked me to produce and direct his this idea that he had. He had an idea. And so I took that idea and I ran with it. And for the last 5 months, I have developed a show, an actual show. Mm-hmm. And I finished the sizzle reel and the pitch deck and the executive summary, and everything is all good to go. That person also became my friend and then eventually became my long distance relationship. Okay. I went out to meet him at the beginning of August because something fell off, and it turns out he wasn't quite the person that he said he was. Mm-hmm. He actually, it wasn't going to fly for me. I did not want to be in a relationship with him anymore, but I did want to continue doing the show. And I am actually capable of separating my personal life with my professional life. And he was unable to do that. He actually said to me, I'd rather blow the show up than not have you in my life as my person.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Yeah. And I actually said, Harvey Weinstein much?
Good for you.
Yeah. And I'm not okay with that. And I told him I was not okay with it. We were not going to be dating anymore, which actually we never dated. We just had phone conversations, video chats, etc. And one time while I was in Oklahoma, which, by the way, his words never met his actions, or his actions never met his words. So that was a big no-no for me, and I walked away. Now, he no longer wants to do the show with me, and he said he'd rather walk away. So he has turned the show over to me.
That's good.
That's great. Now, of course, there's issues with that because now he's bipolar and he's decided he's going to threaten me one minute, tell me to do it on my own the next, threaten me the next minute, and tell me to do it on my own the next. Well, I'm going to do it on my own. I've registered it. I'm good. So legally, I'm fine. I'm covered. This is the thing. Because he lied so much, when he came to me about the show, he told me he had all the funding. And I would then make the show happen. And that's another one of his tall tales. He did not have the funding. And now he's put me in a pickle. I now have to pay my editor, who is not only a longtime client, longtime friend, and an incredible editor who I want to be on all my projects. He's failing to pay him.
Oh my gosh.
So, yeah. I'm going to have to crowdfund. I'm just getting started. I have to do a video. I've already reached out to a handful of people. I'm hoping to crowdfund enough to just get this ball rolling and get at least the editor paid, and so that that's taken care of. And then I did get great news. I have been
Yes.
if anybody who knows me knows that I am a hell of a manifester. I'm very, very powerful manifester. And I have been manifesting money and and success and moving forward. So good news is that my friend George Romero, who is also a director producer and is really well known in the business, he has forwarded on for my docu-series and the unscripted to is a entertainment.
Oh, Christine, your mic is really shaky. We can't hear you. I guess we will wait for her to come back.
Yeah, sorry. Something's going on with my mic. Hopefully that will work. We'll see how this
Yes,
goes.
we hear you.
Okay. I won't touch anything. I'm just going to do this the whole show.
Go ahead.
So anyway, long story short, this company really loves my projects, my productions, and I am on their list to consider for full funding for this fall. So I just need to get through this. I just need to get hold on.
We can't hear you. I think you're muted.
I tell you, I can't do a goddamn show without yeah, so unfortunately, fortunately, I'm lucky, and I'm very happy to say that goddamn, I'm having some great fun times today. I'm happy to say that there are people who truly believe in the project, and it will be moving forward. I just have to get through this tough time, and I'm unsticking myself from the drama, the bullshit, and I'm manifesting, and I'm bored. I'm doing what I have to do to make this work. So that's my personal Unstuck. Now, what about you, Jada?
Oh my gosh. Well, let me see. There's so much. Actually, there's really not a lot. I am having some relationship issues. However, I myself am I am a master manifester, probably very similar to you. Like I live it, breathe it, believe it, and it always happens. So I know change is coming. Just similar situations. I'm finding things that weren't necessarily true in the very beginning, and you know, being in the relationship industry, I should have picked up on things a little bit sooner, but that's okay. I'm unsticking myself as we go, and everything else is working itself out. So
I love that. I think that's amazing. You know, I'm really excited. Our host.
Your mic's not working. Phil, I absolutely love you, by the way. No. I think it's your cord. No. No. So I guess we will wait for her to come back. We're really excited. The person that we are having today is a relationship expert. She's also a licensed therapist. So she's going to talk to us a little bit about getting unstuck. So we are extremely excited for Michelle to be here. So we are going to welcome Michelle in, and Christine will probably be joining us shortly. Hi, Michelle.
Hello. Hi, Christine.
Hey, Michelle.
Oh, good. We can hear you.
Oh my God. I'm with Phil. I need to manifest a better fucking mic. Actually, the mic is fine. It's the cord, and I'm
You're
going
animated.
crazy. Ah! So
you said you were going to do this last time.
Just do it. Just stay.
I'm not moving. I'm not gonna move. So I'm gonna stick myself to this spot.
I love that.
Keep your arms like that.
Michelle O'Connell, I'm so thrilled to have you. Michelle is a mental health professional. She's a therapist who helps with dating coaching, and she learned a lot from her own experience, which, Michelle, I think that's the best way to learn these days, especially in dating. Yep. And let me tell you a little bit about Michelle. Michelle helps people feel more confident with the process of dating, about themselves, to help with personalizing things less, which I think is huge, recognizing red flags, understanding their attachment styles, and changing unhealthy dating patterns. So, Michelle, I'm really thrilled you're here. Thank you for coming. Tell us what being stuck means to you. What does this mean, and why are people stuck, or how?
Yeah, so I think most people can relate to the feeling of being stuck, whether that professionally, in relationships, just with maybe goals that they want to obtain. And it's a really shitty feeling, right? Because a lot of people, I truly think a lot of people know what they need, and they know what they need or should do, but there's a blockage that gets in the way. And I think that's the part that is the stuck part that makes it really tough for people, because that's the part that people don't always know the why. Like, why do I keep dating these people who are emotionally unavailable? Like, I know this, like Jada said, maybe you saw some red flags, but right? Or like, why do we continue to do these things? And so that's what kind of that stuck means to me. Like, why do we continue to do the same old thing, or what is getting in the way of us moving forward to reach whatever goals that we have?
Awesome. I love that. So how long have you been working as a therapist?
So I have been a therapist. I was thinking about that today. I was like, they're probably going to ask. I was like, when did I start? Because it feels like over. So I have been a mental health therapist for a little over 10 years.
Wow. Okay.
And so I've been doing that for 10 years. And now I worked for a long time in kind of high crisis situations, residential treatment, high school. Now I'm just working for myself. But can I talk a little bit about how I got into dating coaching?
Yes, that was going to be my next question, was how did you get into that, and how did you figure this out for yourself?
Yeah, so I was in a long-term relationship for about 6 years, and great guy. I don't have much bad things to say about him. As I learned later, like, I had a lot of things to work on, but I was like, you have a lot of things you need to work on. Needless to say, like, when we broke up, I was I was excited to do online dating because I've never done it before. And I was like, this is going to be so fun. I'm going to meet someone and just like fall in love, and it's going to be perfect. And then I found that it doesn't go like that.
Yeah.
Right. Like, it helped. So I started dating online, and it helped me to discover a lot of shit that I needed to work on.
Yeah.
I thought I had it together. I was like this new therapist. I was like, I've done all the work. Like, this is a you problem. So dating was awful. Like, it brought up insecurities that I didn't even know I had. Like, I always thought I was confident, but it made it really tough. And online dating is hard. So I did a lot of my own work, and then I'm feeling a lot better. Woo! I did a lot of my own work, and then I did speed dating. Have you guys ever done speed dating?
I tried it once, and
I tried it once.
10 women, and there were like 15 women, and there were like 3 or 4 guys, and there were none that I would even double take at. It was horrible.
Yeah. Was that what it was like for you too, Jada?
Yeah, first of all, in DC, there's a lot more men than there are. I mean, there's a lot more women than there are men anyway. But yeah, I think there was probably about 20 women, and there may have been 7 or 8 guys. So it was just not productive.
Yeah. I went in with like, had really low expectations and wanted just to go for the experience. So I went with my friend, and it was the experience. Like you know how you can write, like you write their name, you write notes. Yeah. The guy came to me after he went to my friend, and next to her name, he just wrote bitch. I was like, what did you do? She's like, I laughed at a joke, but it wasn't a joke apparently.
Oh no.
It was really cool, but I left feeling the utmost like compassion for these people. Because I think the men that were there, they really wanted a partner. Like, I think they really wanted to date, but they really struggled socially, just in many ways. And I went home that night, opened up my computer, and I was like, I'm going to write a book on dating.
Nice.
So I started writing all these chapters, and then that was it. Still, that end scene book stayed in that night. Still on the horizon.
So no book.
No book. My dad was like, I'm going to write a chapter. I was like, Dad, no.
You know, Michelle, I gotta say, 50 Shades of Bullshit used to be a book that I was writing from my dating experiences. Yes. And then I was like, wait, no, I think it needs to be a documentary or a docuseries, which it's going to be. But then I turned it into the podcast. So I feel you.
I love it, though. So I'll make this quick. I can talk forever. So just like tell me to pump the brakes if I need to.
No, I love it.
So flash forward summer 2021. I was out with my girlfriends, and they were like, hey, can you look at my profile, and can you like write my profile for me? I was like, yeah. So I was like, gave it back. And she's like, oh my gosh, like this captures who I am and what I'm looking for. I was like, yeah, yep. And my other friend and I did the same thing. They're like, you're really good at this. And I said, I think it's really, and then we were talking about how it's really hard for people to advertise yourself. And it's kind of a weird, sick, twisted thing that you are advertising yourself, because that's what you're doing. If you're doing online dating, right? Like you're making an advertisement. You're saying
you're selling yourself.
Yes. Yeah. And people don't know it, especially if you don't feel confident, if you don't like how you look, if you don't think you are interesting, you don't know what to write. And so after that day, we were having some drinks at the bar, and I was like, I'm going to start a business. And and continued to talk about it. And that's how I started dating coaching. So that was about a year ago. And given my background and like the therapy tools and stuff, I bring a lot of that in. And so that's how Unstuck by Michelle started.
Great. So when people come to you, and what's the process to figuring out where they're stuck?
Yeah, that's a good question. Because so when I first meet with people, I ask a lot of questions. I learn a lot about their relationship history. And people often just want to kind of focus on their last relationship, or like where they're at today. Like that's very rarely the problem, to be honest. And I ask one of the questions that I ask everybody. I ask my therapy clients this. I ask my clients that I work with for dating coaching. I ask, when they think back to when they were younger, what relationship that they grew up with represents like a healthy relationship to them. And people have to really think about that. When I thought about that for myself, I was like,
great question.
Yeah. The one relationship like that when I was little, I was like, I now know they're both alcoholics. Like they were not healthy. They seem to be having fun. Right. So I asked people that, and I explain a little bit about how attachment starts and how they're all born babies, obviously. And we learn how to be in this world by our experiences, by who we live with, by school, by our community and neighborhoods. And that can be really great, real great, right? If we have healthy parents, we're good enough at school, we're athletic, we have friends, like, okay. But most people don't have those things. And I talk to people about their belief system. So that's kind of where we figure out where they're stuck by figuring out like what do they believe about themselves. Most people have a hard time kind of naming some of those things that they don't like about themselves or their negative beliefs. So we do work and kind of exploring. I have a list that I show people, and I'm like, go down this list and like what resonates with you, and not what resonates you today when you're feeling good, but like after a bad date, or after, you don't get a match, or you're not feeling good about how you look. What are you saying? Sorry, I have a dog.
It's all right. It's all good.
Not today. And I asked, like, what are you saying to yourself in those moments, right? And a lot of people that I work with can resonate with, I'm not blank enough, fill that in, right? I'm not good looking enough. I'm not financially stable enough. I'm not fit enough, like whatever that is. And then kind of how I explained, we said, where does that come from? Where did you learn that? And in therapy, we would dive into that in a whole different way. But in dating coaching, some of that is more like kind of just making those connections to figure out like, well, what beliefs are you reinforcing? So I have a girlfriend, she texted me today, and she was going on a date with a guy. He stood her up yesterday. And I was like, well, she's like, it's probably for the best. I was like, well, why? She's like, well, he has two DWIs, a breathalyzer in his car.
Oh, God.
Lives with his mom to help him. To help him pay the rent.
Red flag.
Hello.
His mom, because his insurance is like $600 right now from all his DWIs. Like, but I was like, it's not that he's a bad person, but it's not like, I was like, what made you like go for that? And she's like, I'm looking for validation anywhere I can get it. And I said, there you go.
Yeah. We've done attachment styles episode in the past here. And I just realized while you were talking, when you asked the question, and my mind went there, and I realized that my attachment style, my love languages are the things that I lacked from my parents growing up. And I just realized that I'm incredibly affectionate and giving and loving, and I confirm things for people. And then my attachment style it has to do with that kind of thing. And I think it's because I never had that growing up. I'm overcompensating and hoping that if I give it, I will receive it. And it doesn't work that way. And I do know that now. But yeah.
Yeah.
And we did Christine last night. Oops. Go ahead, Michelle. I was just going to tag on to last night. We on our Clubhouse, we talked about attachment style. That was the entire Clubhouse yesterday. And some of that came up is obviously a lot of what you learn and what you pick up. You get that from childhood. So that's good that you brought that up, Christine.
Yeah. And that's why often people don't make those connections, right? And so really learning about what beliefs are the ones, because what happens with the belief system is that, so we are self-fulfilling prophecies. Like we all have a belief system about ourselves, other people, and the world, right? And we need that to be true. And again, it works out great if you think that you are smart enough, lovable, worthy, you can trust people. If you have those beliefs, you're probably functioning pretty well and have healthy relationships. But when you don't think you're good enough, all of those things is what happens. So example that I use often is like, if I think so fun fact, I think I'm a good person. Okay. Full disclosure. I'm not like, Michelle, you're a good person. Like prove it to the world. I do, like today I held the door for someone, right? And I didn't say, oh, Michelle, write that down. See, you're a good person, right? Just I held the door for someone, moved on with my day, whatever. What happens though in my belief system in my brain is I'm putting checks behind that belief subconsciously. Again, it works out great if you have a solid foundation, healthy beliefs. If you think you're a bad person, same thing. You don't wake up and you're not like, let's fuck shit up. Like you just, but let's say you don't hold the door for someone. What happens is instead of just saying like, oops, I didn't see them, you might say, fuck, I'm such a loser. Like, God, I didn't even see them. And so that shows up with dating, right? So if you think you are unworthy, if you don't think you're good enough, if you don't think you are a good catch, I ask everyone I work with, do you think you're a good catch? If you do not think you are a good catch, you are going to pick people who will validate that belief.
Validate that. Yeah, because
yeah.
I'm all about manifesting, and it's the same thing. It's the same thing you're saying. It's what you are putting out there, you're getting back.
You get back. Mm-hmm.
You teach people how to treat you, right? And you
Yes.
and if like how many people end up like when I was going through my situation, I will call it, like I kept dating the same type of people, right? Like the same type of avoidant guys, and it feels so good right away. And then it'd be like every other week, and it's just the same. My sister's like, you know what you're doing, right? I'm like, I'm aware. I'm not ready to change it yet. But I know what I'm doing. But and I love how you said manifest earlier, because that word is trending, right? But really, we've been talking about it for ages, right? It's really
Forever.
and we just use different language. But I tell people, like, you know, if you have an anxious attachment style, if you avoid an attachment style, if you don't feel good about yourself, if you believe you are not a good catch, like the glory in this all is that you can change all of that.
Yeah.
You can change your attachment. You can change what you believe about yourself.
Yeah, I used to think it was the power of positive thinking. That was, you know, just keep thinking the positive, keep believing in the good. And then about 3.5 years ago, I heard the word manifesting, and I was like, "What the hell is that?" And then I realized it was the same thing that I've always been doing, but it allowed me to do a lot of research and see what kind of ways work for me. And so I'm really it really resonates in my life, and I think it's important when you are in business, in your personal life, in your dating world, even in your married life. It's really important to be putting that feeling that you are worthy, you are happy, you are this, you are that first. Because without that, you're going to tell your partner or anything else in life that you deserve all this shit that's happening or that could happen.
Yeah.
And then also,
I think it's similar to the law of attraction, though, too, wouldn't you say? I think that you attract so much of what you are in that space that you're in. If you're unhealthy, if you've got low self-esteem, if you're all of these things, you're going to attract that exact same person. So it's all manifesting, law of attraction. It all ties in to one another.
Yeah.
And I tell people all the time when we talk about, like, you know, believing that you're worthy and working to shift those things. So, you know, you get the eye rolls with like, oh, I'm not going to like tell myself this, or manifesting, like all this stuff. But people become so accustomed and okay with talking shit to themselves every day. Right. Like somehow that became like a cultural norm to talk shit to ourselves. But when we want to kind of reframe it and be positive, it's like, oh, that's uncomfortable. And it's uncomfortable because that's change.
Yeah, I agree. Also, one thing that I've been really learning lately, and I don't know if this is something that you talk about, Michelle, but one of the things that I realized that when people ask you, you know, what are you looking for? I find that a lot of people say, well, I don't want somebody who's short, and I don't want somebody who's too tall, and I don't want somebody who doesn't have a job. And those are the people you're attracting. So I found that when you're verbalizing these things, your mind, the universe, whatever the fuck it is that's bringing that to you, that's what they're hearing. So I'm finding that what you have to do is say, not the negative, not what you don't want. It's always focus on what you do want. I do want somebody who's trustworthy. I do want somebody who's faithful and loving. I do want somebody who's got a great job or who's going to put me first. Things like that is much more important than saying what you don't want.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think that a lot of people are jaded with dating, and I get it. And so then that's when it's become like the no, or you quickly look for what you don't like. For like that. Did you see what sunglasses he had on in picture 4? I'm like, kind of throw them away. Like, and so I think it is important to look for what you do want and what you do like in somebody.
Yeah.
Oh, Phil, you big flirt.
He is a big flirt.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Bill. I appreciate that. You know, I think a lot of what we want to talk about too in dating is the ability to communicate. And so I have an example. I connected with somebody through a dating site a couple of days ago, and he started sending me messages, and we started communicating, like having conversations. And he kept sending me little messages like, oh, well, we're going to talk later tomorrow, but until then you can flirt with me and send me pictures, just like normal pictures. He wasn't asking for dirty pictures, thank God. Which would have been a no, goodbye.
We're done.
But yeah, we're done. But he kept saying, "Oh, you can flirt with me," and I think that in my past, and any other girl I know would have just went block. I'm done. Goodbye. I actually said, "Look, I'm a big flirt. I like it when it's organic. I will flirt with you when it feels like it naturally happening, but I can't do it on command. And if you want me to be on command, you telling me that I need to do something and you thinking I'm not, if you're not seeing that I am in my way, then it we might want to figure out whether we want to not meet or meet." And he said, "Oh my gosh, that's not what I meant. I'm so sorry. You're so right. I didn't mean it that way. I was just kind of flirting in that way." And I said, "Okay, cool." So I really think it's about communicating and not being afraid to just kindly say, "Hey, this is how I perceive this," or "This is how I heard this. How did you mean it?" kind of thing.
Yeah. I think it's so important, right? Because like when those first chats with somebody, like I think one, if people are jaded with dating, they're so quick to just unmatch and go left. When someone may have just tried to make a joke that didn't sit well, or tried to flirt and didn't go well, right? So I think being transparent and, taking things with a grain of salt in the beginning is so important.
Yeah, I agree. So what do you think is some of the suggestions that you could give our listeners today on how to figure out where you're stuck, and exercises or ways to unstick yourself, that they, and if they can't get past a certain point of, obviously we want them to call you, we want them to reach out to you, we definitely want to bring that to you because I think you're fucking great. But for now, what are some of the steps you think that they could start to do on their own?
Yeah, so I recommend, I was going to have it over. I'm looking at my bookshelf. You can't tell that. It just looks like I'm like not good. I'm not good at these things and where to look or any of that. But the book Attached, I don't know if you guys have heard about it. I've read it twice. Yes, it's like the dating Bible, right? I'm like, read this, because first it normalizes it's okay to want a partner. It doesn't make you like thirsty or whatever. It's okay, normal. We survive longer historically in pairs. Makes sense. But I really like that book. But I think one of the things that people can do to kind of recognize where they're stuck is even making a list about what do I, asking themselves, do I think I'm a good catch? Why?
Awesome.
Like why? I'm funny. I'm good looking at, like, I knew that was going to happen.
He's agreeing with you.
He is. Why? He's like, I'm
well, funny. He was so non-vocal for like 2 years, and now he found his voice. But so what about why you think you're a catch and why you maybe think you're not a catch? And as much as I love the positives, keep manifesting, keep believing in those, but we have to focus on the other ones.
Yes. Yeah. If we're going to move forward. Yes.
Yeah. And so, for example, like if you're not getting matches, or you went on another shit date, or you didn't want, or someone ended it with you or whatnot, ask yourself, like, not just those initial thoughts of like, oh, this sucks, dating, I'll never, but what am I thinking about myself? Right? Like what does this say about me?
Yeah.
Let's just stick with, oh, I'm not enough. Okay. Like, oh, I'm just not enough for this person. One thing that you can do is this is where the manifesting part comes in, but to like spend 3 minutes a day 1 to 3 minutes a day, more days than not, I say. So like every day is unrealistic, a goal for a lot of things, more days than not, 1 to 3 minutes. So if the belief is I am not enough, like the opposite would be I'm enough, right? And I always have to tell people I am enough does not mean complacency. You can still work on yourself and grow.
Right.
But right. So for 1 to 3 minutes, set a timer, close your eyes, and really just on repeat, remind yourself that I am enough, that you are enough. And what that's doing is that's intentional time to shift that belief in your brain space.
Can I have to say something here. A few months back, I think it was March or April, I found out about this thing called breath work. And if you go online and you search the words breath work, it's incredible. There's lots of different programs you can try, but it's a way of breathing and meditating. And boy, did I see and feel and experience some major stuff that changed my life. So in the breath work, in my very first session, the coach was guiding us through, and he said, hey, if you feel pain or if you're experiencing something and you feel like something's stuck, he said you can get up on all fours and rock back and forth and move and, still stay in it, still wear your mask, still do your breathing, and then go back. I felt this incredible pain throughout my body, and I literally couldn't focus on the breathing. So I started doing this. And when I did that, it broke through, and all of a sudden the words not worthy, not good enough, exploded in my brain, and I lost my shit. And I'm sobbing and I'm freaking out. And I was like, oh my God, I have never felt that I've been good enough for anybody, that I've been worthy enough for anybody. And as I allowed it to go through me, as I allowed it to process, it clicked, and I went, what the fuck? I'm worthy and I'm good enough for me.
Yeah.
That's absolutely all I needed. And when I hit that, I felt such intense joy. I felt so incredible. And it literally changed my life. So if I'm just good enough and worthy enough for myself, somebody else who's the right person for me is going to also see it. And I never have to worry about feeling good enough or worthy enough for anybody else, because it doesn't matter.
Yeah. I love that. And I love
that's very powerful, Christine.
Yeah. I teach breath work too. And I teach it to my dating. And I teach it to dating coaching clients, and because it's so powerful, and you experience that, Christine, like your body carries everything. Your body tells you, your body has a story and a narrative. And so part of that breath work, that manifesting and whatever that belief is like when you're breathing, right? Like there's some structure around it, and you're really tuning with your body.
Like it's incredible. I experienced a lot of things. I went through a lot of things. I saw past lives. I saw my soulmate. I saw a lot of things. And breath work is incredible. If you haven't tried it, I highly suggest it. Yeah, we might even do an episode on manifesting and another episode on breath work. That shit is amazing.
That's amazing. Yeah.
So okay. So Michelle, okay. So they make a list of the what they love about themselves, what they don't particularly care about themselves, to figure out where they might be stuck in those places and how they can figure out how to move through them. Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, like figuring out like what are the negative things you tell yourself, right?
Okay.
When this happens, like when something triggers that, like a bad date, like I said, or something of that nature. And like what are they believing about, like, because they have to figure out what do they believe about themselves, right? In order to shift, we have to shift that. And so then kind of writing the opposite and really working to manifest, to do breath work around it, to do journaling around it. Like there's a lot of different ways to shift the belief system.
Okay.
And to remember, like, some things that I always tell people to remember, especially with, like, obviously I'm dating coach dating, but is that when you get so upset after a first date or when you're chatting with someone, like, you have to remember, like, that person doesn't know you and you don't know that person.
Right.
Like, and my friend the other day, she's like, I really like this guy. I was like, you don't even know him, but you went on one date. She's like, you're so mean. I was like, no, I just know how, I know how you feel. Like, I know how you get so involved and then so hurt, but you have to remember, like, instead of asking if you're good enough for them, like, are they good enough for you?
Yeah. Yeah. I totally agree. I was also doing like a list of things that were important value wise for me.
Oh.
And if they didn't match those things, really, am I just looking, like you said your friend was doing, validating, or your client trying to get validation in some way? I don't need validation in any way, shape, or form from anybody else. So waiting and filtering through all the things that are unnecessary and unwanted. And one of the things that Dawn, she's a woman who came on to talk to me about how to verbalize in a more positive way. She said, "Does this serve me?" And I think about that a lot. I think about, would this relationship serve me? Would I serve it? And
Yeah.
when I look at people, I kind of try to see, could this be the person I want to spend my very limited time with, and communicating with, because I have a lot of shit to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think something that you said too is very powerful. Aside from the breath work, because that was amazing. But one of the things I find with the clients that I work with is expectations, especially on a first date, a first introduction. You can't go into it with the expectation that that's going to be your husband. And if it doesn't, or your wife, if it doesn't work out, you go home, write down some things that maybe you could have done better, write down some things that you didn't necessarily like about that person. And then you start over again. Dating is supposed to be fun. It's not supposed to stress you out, first of all. It's supposed to be a fun experience.
Yeah.
And I love that. And I always tell people too, it's supposed to be fun, and the idea, like, if you want things to be different. So another thing with like how to get unstuck, if you want things to be different, like, you have to do things. I don't know, I'm clapping a lot today. It feels really right.
Yeah.
Like, but if you want to do things differently, if you want things to be different, you have to do things differently.
Yes.
So I tell people, like,
absolutely.
you have to change your rules of dating. You have to slow down. You have to, if you really like somebody, go on 3 more dates with other people if you can.
Yep.
Right? Like, you have to do things differently. And don't go to your friends it's hard. It's hard because when you go to your friends that have been like maybe married forever. I remember when I was in that long-term relationship, I probably gave really bad advice. What? No. Like, I think you have to know who you're asking and who you're talking to about stuff. Because, like, if you have a friend who's just as anxious as you, like, she might be like, you should text him that paragraph. Yeah, you should.
Yeah. That's the worst.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
so
know,
like,
I gotta say, I've probably been a nightmare on some dates because
we all have.
Oh my God. Okay. So I've gone out with men who have been divorced, and I try very hard to wait and ask them, how long you've been divorced? And they'll say, 1 year, 6 months, 2 years, whatever. I try to wait beyond 2 years. If they haven't been divorced beyond 2 years, I try not to, unless they're really spectacular. And I've gone on dates with men, and they have sat there and bitched and moan about every ex, their ex-wife, what a bitch she is, how horrible this is, that is. And I used to just sit and go, Now I'm like, I gotta say, I think you're pretty great. I think you're a smart, successful, wonderful guy. I can't go home without saying, that was really shitty. you calling your wife names tells me what you're going to call me when we are no longer seeing each other. How you bitch and moan about your past is just bringing your past back. If I can give you any gift, it's next time you go on a date, don't talk about any of this shit. Just get to know the person. Let them get to know who you are. Nobody gives a fuck what your marriage was like, unless further down the road you want to talk about the issues that you had or didn't have. That's fine. But on your first 1, 2, 3 dates, stop talking about this stuff. And I don't hear from them again, and I'm good with that.
Remember too, Christine, like it's not your job to train these men.
I know.
That's exactly right. I will second that. That is not your job.
But I will say the woman after me, I'm sure, is thanking me. Oh. So that's fine. That's fine.
I think a lot of people fantasize, right, about like, I just want to fucking say this, or like I had a guy who was drunk to a date. I'm like, why, man? Why? But we have fantasies about telling these men about how, or women or whoever, on how to act on dates.
Yeah. So I wish I would have said this, or I should have said this, or I want to say this, but you don't do it. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, I'm pretty honest, and I'm pretty straightforward. And when someone is like misbehaving, I'm pretty good at saying, as nice as I can, I think you're great. Unfortunately, you did a boo-boo, and you know what? It's probably not going to work out with me, but here, for your future, let me help you. I can't help it. It's in my nature. Besides, he's just going to continue and flounder, so I might as well give him a little nugget of help. Why not? What are you going to do?
Yeah. Well, what do you got to use?
Excuse me. We only have a couple of minutes left. So, Michelle, do you have anything you'd like to part with for any advice or anything you want to say to help our people?
Yeah. 3 minutes. I think I just want to acknowledge that, dating, it's different nowadays than it was. And that's just reality. And it's different. And I truly believe that there's more than one person out there for everybody. Like I do. There's so many people in this world. And I think everybody has work to do. And I think that, and people always think I have to fix myself before I date. That's not true. Like you can work on yourself and date. And I think the main thing with dating is simultaneously, it's a tough one today, is to like work on yourself, like figure out, like work on your self-esteem, your self-worth. And I really believe that good things will follow.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Can I give a dating tip really quick? Do I have a second?
Yes, please. Yeah, of course. Yes.
I tell everybody this because dating can be so overwhelming, or like you might have, some people have a lot of likes, some people don't, but it gets a lot. So I tell people often, like if you're on a site, once you have 2 to 3 matches, to pause your profile. Pause your profile. It doesn't delete anything. Really engage with those 3 people. And if it doesn't go anywhere, unpause, go back, because it can feel less overwhelming. You can, you have 18 conversations going. You can remember more about the person. But people who have tried that have really liked it. So that's
a good idea. That's a good idea. Thank you. I appreciate that. And I appreciate, that advice and, and the help that you've given us today. Anybody who wants to have an opportunity to really move forward in your dating life, in your personal life. And I honestly think that people who are married could actually use your advice to get unstuck in their relationship. So this show really isn't just about single people. It's about people who are in relationships too, of moving forward. So anybody who has the opportunity to reach out to Michelle, please do so. It's in our show notes, how to reach her. And, thank you, Michelle, for being here today. You're awesome. And, my hope is that I'm going to be in Argentina for 3 months in a few months, working on my project. And if that production happens, we'll have you come back on while Jada does the show. Jada's going to handle the show for us while I'm gone, and we'll have you back and talk about some other things. That would be fantastic. You're awesome. So
you really are. Thank you, Michelle.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. You guys are pretty fabulous too. I was excited to meet you. I was like, well, Jada and Christine to like me.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's go out. Let's have a good time. Where are you located, by the way?
I'm in Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Minneapolis. My best friend lives in Minneapolis, so I'm going to come out there and I'm going to come see you. And we'll hang out. Woo!
I'll just come.
Okay. Okay, let's do it.
Tag along.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you everyone for being here today. Same time, same place next week. Hope to see you again. Thanks for the support. And until then, let's keep it real.
Bye.
If you enjoyed this episode, please share with your friends, like and follow us on Instagram at 50 Shades of _bullshit and Facebook at 50 Shades of Bullshit. Thanks so much for listening, and we really hope to see you again next week.